morning, coaches. Really appreciate you guys stepping up to coach these kids and really look forward to this football season starting. I hope everyone has had a great summer and ready to get started this coming school year and get ready for some football. The season begins on September 10th and the season will end on October 15th, and that's the same day that our sixth grade will play the Toot Totem Food Bowl down at WT Stadium. Team equipment checkout begins on August 20th. You must have 15 players paid on the roster before you are able to schedule your team appointment. Contact whoever your Kids Inc. staff representative is to sign up for a checkout time. You can check out, get you a time to come and get all your kids sized for their equipment. They must be paid before they are fitted for equipment. We will no longer allow the coaches to bring money to the fitting and get to the front of the line to pay that. You'll have to go inside and pay in the office and make sure they've signed the waiver and got the payment in before they can schedule their appointment to get fitted. They will not be allowed into the equipment checkout area at all if they have not signed the waiver and paid their fee. You can come to the office on Monday through Thursday between 12 and 3 p.m. to pay and get fitted for your equipment if you miss your team's checkout date. Payment is due August 24th. We ask that players all be paid by this date, and you can make those payments online, in person, or over the phone, so just give us a call at our office here. So this is our official coaches meeting. We will not be doing it in person again, but you can come by or call me. Any questions about any rules, any procedures, anything that we have going on as in regards to tackle football, give me a call, give anybody in our staff a call. Everybody knows and can help you on that type of stuff. You can pick up your schedules and your shirts beginning on Thursday, September 1st at 9 a.m. So September 1st, 9 a.m., you can pick up your jerseys and your schedules to get started for the season. The roster maximum is going to be 25 players. Now, we know some of you coaches are willing to take more. We will call you if we do get above that 25 and ask you first if you'll take those players. If you feel like you want to, then that will be okay if it's okay with you, the parent, but the max is 25 players, and we'll talk more about that if it goes above that. The equipment due back October 22nd. We want to be able to continue to give the kids some good equipment and always have enough for everyone, and so we really appreciate if you can get that equipment back as soon as possible, footballs and all the equipment that the kids wear to play in. You will be able to keep your jersey though, so make sure you keep your jersey. That's part of your end of the season that you can keep. The medals will be available the week before the last game, so make sure you get in to get those for your kids too. Like I said before, the sixth grade Toot Totem Food Bowl will be on October 15th this year. Each sixth grade football team will be able to play one game at WT A&M University's Buffalo Stadium in Canyon. The game times and who you play will be determined at the end of the season. In sixth grade, we will actually keep standings, and we'll be able to match you up accordingly to how you finish the season. All right, let's get into some player eligibility stuff. The age limit for each league will be as follows. Fourth grade, a child must be in the fourth grade. No third graders can play up. We do offer third grade flag football for any of those kids that want to play that. Fifth grade league, a child must be in the fifth grade. A sixth grade league, a child must be in the sixth grade, and they cannot turn 13 years old on or before November 1st, 2022. So anybody that turns 13 before November 1st of this year is not eligible to play the sixth grade league. If there's any questions of eligibility comes up during the season, Kids Inc. can request proof of eligibility. Hopefully we don't have to do that, but we will be able to do that if that comes up anytime. So the weight restrictions that we have this year at Kids Inc. For safety reasons, the restricted position policy will apply as follows. Fourth grade, 115 pounds and up will be restricted. Fifth grade, 125 pounds and up. And sixth grade, 135 pounds and up. The restricted players will wear jersey with the 90 series number, so 90, 91, 92, and so on. They must play interior lineman, which is on the offensive line, or interior lineman on the defensive line. Any restricted players cannot play quarterback, running back, or receiver on offense. And on defense, they can't play defensive end, linebacker, or any secondary position on defense. They must play the interior line on both sides of the ball. But they will be allowed to participate on the punt team, punt return team, kickoff team, and kick return team. They may also be the kicker or punter if you have someone that can do that. Restricted players may not advance the ball except in the case of a fumble or interception. If they pick up a fumble or get an interception, those kids can run all they want. They can advance the ball forward. The only difference in the interior line positions on the defense is fourth grade restricted players will not be allowed to play nose guard. So any of your fourth grade restricted players cannot line up head over the center and play the nose guard position. So we're going to furnish all your kids and equipment. We're going to furnish them helmet, shoulder pads, pants, mouthpiece, and game jerseys. And then to the teams, we'll furnish the kicking tee, practice game balls. The 4th and 5th grade, we're going to use the junior size, and 6th grade, we'll use the intermediate size. Please return all this equipment, like I said before, immediately following the season. We need to get all this stuff back so we can continue to provide this service to the coaches and the teams. The mouthpiece and chin strap must be worn during play. We will provide the mouthpiece and the chin strap. If they do not have it in their mouth or on their chin, it will be a delay of game penalty if they don't have it in. If you lose your mouthpiece or a chin strap, please come see us. We can replace a few of those. So please, if you lose your mouthpiece, kid, that happens sometimes with some kids, just come in and see us and we'll provide a replacement. If any of your equipment is not fitting after you do the equipment size, just come back and come back and let's get some adjustments. The main thing with this equipment, we want it to be safe and worn correctly so that these kids are as safe as they can be out there on the field. Only tennis shoes or rubber cleats are allowed. Metal spikes are not permitted at all. And then you must wear your Kids Inc. jersey. If you lose it, then you make arrangements, come in and purchase another one, or because you cannot play in a game unless you have your Kids Inc. game jersey. And players are not allowed to switch jerseys. A good example of that would be you have a number 92 that's a restricted player, and they decide they're going to switch jerseys so they can play a different position. I know we're not probably going to run into that, but that violation like that can result in suspension. Let's not have any of that during the season. If you have a kid that has a hard or plaster cast, don't allow them to play on the field. They're already injured, obviously, and second of all, we don't want them to injure anyone else with the hard or plaster cast. So here's some of the basic rules for the games. Each player must play a minimum of 8 plays per half. That's 16 plays per game. And that doesn't include kickoffs or punt returns, kickoff returns, or your punts. That will not count as a play. They must play 8 offensive or defensive plays per half, 16 total for a game. If your team is up by 16 points or more, you may not blitz anymore on defense. It's just like in basketball. If you're up by a certain amount of points, you're going to call off the press, and that's what we're going to do. You're not going to be able to blitz on defense if you're leading by 16 or more. Each team will be allowed 30 seconds in the huddle to get ready for their next offensive play. And during timeouts, 2 coaches will be allowed on the field. That's the only time 2 coaches will be allowed from the same team on the field. So during timeouts, 2 coaches can approach in the huddle or whatever to do the timeout with the teams. Each game will consist of 4 15-minute quarters with a running clock. Time limit for all games is 75 minutes. So if we have any injury timeouts or the timeouts, it will not exceed 75 minutes the game at all. But 4 15-minute running quarters. Halftime will be 5 minutes, and each team will be allowed 2 1-minute timeouts per half. If you don't use your 2 timeouts, they do not carry over. So it's 2 per half either way. So you're not going to be able to carry 4 over to the second half. It's 2 per half, 1 minute. Game time is forfeit time. Now, in flag football, it's a little easier to adjust. If we have 7-on-7 is the game and we have 5-on-5 or 6-on-6, most of the time we'll allow those teams to play, but in tackle football, you must have 11 to play. We're not going to do any short playing where it's 10-on-10 or 9-on-9. Game time is forfeit time, so have your teams there early, and you must start the game with at least 11 players. We're not going to do like flag football where we can do it with less. All games played through the third quarter will be considered official, like if any weather comes in or if anything gets stopped by officials for any reason. If the game is tied in the regulation, the game will remain tied. No overtime and Kids Inc., so it will remain a tie. So the scoring, touchdowns, as always, will be 6 points. There'll be no extra points or field goals. Extra points will be spotted at the 3-yard line. If you run for the extra point and you get it, it will be 1 point. If you throw for the extra point and get it, it will be 2 points. If they're going for the extra point, you intercept or return a fumble. If you run it all the way back, you will also score 2 points on that. So it is eligible to return a fumble or an interception on an extra point attempt. Formations and positions on your defense. 4th grade teams must line up in a standard 4-3 defense. What that means is 4 down linemen, and they must line up head-to-head over the guard, tackle, or tight end. So you can't have 4 line and line up in gaps. You got to line head up. And that's in 4th grade. Your 3 linebackers must be 3 yards off the line of scrimmage. They cannot get closer than 3 yards off the line of scrimmage until the ball is snapped. Your 4 defensive backs. Your 2 corners must be 3 yards off the line of scrimmage. Do not move inside 3 until the ball is snapped, just like the linebackers. Your 2 safeties must be at least 3 yards behind the linebackers, so 6 yards from the line of scrimmage. And you cannot move inside the linebackers until the ball is snapped. All offensive and defensive linemen must be in 3-point or 4-point stance at the snap of the ball. 5th and 6th grade teams may line up any defensive formation. So 5th and 6th grade, you can have up to 7 linemen on the line of scrimmage. If you have defensive ends, they may stand up and be no more than 2 yards off the tight end's outside shoulder. So 2 yards from the far shoulder of the tight end. The nose guard position can be a restricted player in 5th and 6th grade, and they may play center on the offensive line. So that's only 5th and 6th grade only that the restricted player can play nose guard. Linebackers and defensive backs must be 3 yards off the line of scrimmage at the snap of the ball. So when teams, if the offense is inside the 5-yard line, teams may line up any defensive position they choose. That would be called your goal line defense. So any defense you choose when the ball is inside the 5-yard line. The offense must have 7 players on the line of scrimmage before the ball is snapped. If you have an unbalanced line on one side or the other, like if you have a guard, tackle, and tight end on one side, the inside tackle is not eligible for a pass. He cannot report eligible if he has a tight end on his outside. If the other side, if it just has a guard and tackle, the tackle can tell the referee they are eligible and can be eligible for a pass. Coaches must notify the official of an eligible tackle before the play. Offensive guards and tackles can pull. No blocking below the waist in the interior offensive line. You can't drop and block below the waist. No crab blocking. And all offensive linemen must engage the defensive lineman above the waist. So no below the waist blocking on the interior line. All right, punting. If punting, please notify the referee before the play that you're going to punt. Teams will not be allowed to rush the punter, fake punt, or block below the waist. The center can snap or hand the ball to the punter. Fumbles will not be called when punting the ball. Players may return punts. Once the ball has been punted, players may pursue the punt returner. The ball will be put in play when the punt returner is tackled or goes out of bounds. An untouched ball comes to rest, goes out of bounds, or the play is whistled dead. And the ball will be put at the 20-yard line if it crosses the goal line untouched or out of the end zone. Fumbles are allowed on the punt return, though. Even though on the punter side, on the offensive side, there's no fumbles. But once the ball's being returned, fumbles are allowed. So fumbles are in effect. And the fair catch rule is in effect on all punts. Kickoffs. The kickoff will initiate from the team's own 45-yard line. So you're going to kick off from your 45. If the kickoff goes out of bounds untouched, the ball will be spotted at the receiving team's 45-yard line. And of course, as in any kickoff, the ball must travel a minimum of 10 yards. If the ball does not travel 10 yards, the receiving team will take possession of the ball where it goes out of bounds, or if the kicking team touches it first before 10 yards, or when the play is whistled down. If the receiving team touches the ball is live and can be recovered by the receiving or the kicking team. If the receiving team touches the ball before it travels 10 yards and recovers the ball belongs to the receiving team. As an any kickoff, the ball goes out of the end zone or untouched through the end zone, it will be placed at the 25-yard line. And the fair catch rule is in effect on all kickoffs. And on all kickoffs, it's important to remember no blocking below the waist. So penalties. All penalties will be assessed from the original line of scrimmage. There will be no place of the foul, like spot of the foul penalties assessed. They will all be from the line of scrimmage. 5-yard offensive penalties include illegal motion, false start, delay of game, illegal formation, pass beyond line of scrimmage, more than 11 players on the field, and tripping. Those are all 5-yard penalties. 10-yard offensive penalties include holding, clipping, blocking in the back, pass interference, intentional grounding. 15-yard offensive penalties include face mask, blocking below the waist, spearing, helmet to helmet, targeting. 5-yard defensive penalties include offside, more than 11 players on the field, and tripping. 10-yard defensive penalties include holding, pass interference. A spot foul is an automatic first down if less than 15 yards from previous spot. So if you get a pass interference, it will be an automatic first down. If a foul occurs more than 15 yards from the previous spot, then it is a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. So if a kid's going for a long pass and it's 30 yards downfield and he's interfered with, you will get a 15-yard penalty. If it's less than 15 yards and they're interfered with, you get a 10-yard penalty. But it's all automatic first down. 15-yard defensive penalties from the spot of the foul include late hits, spearing, which is helmet to helmet, unnecessary roughness, face mask, horse collar, targeting. Flagrant or intentional helmet to helmet contact by an offensive or defensive player, the first offense, a warning for the player involved, and the official will notify the coach about the player involved. Second offense by the same player, the player involved will be ejected for the remainder of the game and suspended for the next scheduled game. So if it's the first quarter, he's been ejected, he's out of that game plus the whole next game. So let's make sure that we're teaching our players not to use their head-to-head to hit and teaching them to tackle the right way. For spearing or targeting penalties, the coach will be warned by the officials that one of their players have been warned about such an infraction. Unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, coaches, players, and fans. First offense, 15-yard penalty and automatic first down. Second offense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down, and the coach, player, fan will be asked to leave the playing area. Individuals ejected from the game will be contacted by the Kids Incorporated office. Guys, let's just remember that we're here for the kids, and this penalty should never happen. Let's just make sure we're using respect with the officials, with other teams, with each other's parents, and just make sure that we're not having this type of stuff. We don't want to tell parents they can't watch their children play, and we don't want to tell coaches they can't coach when they've stepped up to volunteer. So please not put us in that situation where we have to suspend players, coaches, parents. We want to avoid that at all costs. All players and coaches must remain between the 25-yard lines during the game. Spectators must remain at least 10 yards behind the sidelines. If anyone's yelling or verbally abusing the officials, coaches, players, or spectators, they will be asked to leave by the officials. Also, no one can sit in the end zone, so don't be standing or sitting in the end zone trying to coach the kids or just be in the way, because you never know when something could happen. You could end up in the way and cost somebody a penalty, so no one in the end zone, please. On referees, we're either going to have a 2-man or 3-man crew every game. Officiating staff, we're going to hold them to the same professional standards as coaches, players, and spectators. As you know, nationwide there's a shortage of referees, so please keep in mind as we talk to refs, and we're not saying it's not okay to question a call. You can question a call, but let's do it respectfully, and remember these guys are out there doing their best, and there's not a whole lot of them that are out there now wanting to officiate, so let's keep it respectful and always remember that. So coaches, we really appreciate you guys volunteering, and we know it's tough. It's tough to coach kids and to be that type of leader. So just a few things to keep in mind. Just you're responsible for the physical and mental well-being of all children while entrusted to your care. Maintain an adequate level of discipline on his or her team, talking to the other teams, getting in scuffles, anything like that. The conduct and control of their team's fans, chain crews, and spectators. Coaches, you are responsible for your team's fans and your crews that help us and any spectators that are there. Ensure minimum playing time is met for all players. Remember, it's 8 plays per half, not including special teams, and it's 16 plays per game, not including special teams. Another thing that we ran into during flag football, all assistant coaches must be listed on the roster and have a background check on file. If no background check is on file, the coach will be removed from the sideline. So remember, if he's at practice or she is practice and they're working with kids, hands-on, let's make sure they have a background check and are listed as an assistant coach. That's a must. So please do that right away. Get that added on. If any head coaches or their assistant coaches violate any Kids Incorporated playing rules or directives, you can be subject to disciplinary actions. Once again, hopefully we can avoid that and not have to do anything like that. Let's make sure we're not grabbing any kids by the face mask, slap a child on the helmet, that type of stuff, old school stuff. It's just not. Let's make sure we're keeping our hands off of kids in any way or form. If you choose to, one offensive coach will be allowed in the huddle, so you can keep a coach on the field in the huddle. Once the huddle breaks, coaches must be 10 yards back from the player further onto the backfield. No coaching or running with the play once the play begins. Once the play starts, coaches, you can't talk or coach them. Any obscene, profane, abusive, degrading language in the presence of anyone is prohibited. Once again, want to say again, do not handle a child in an aggressive or abusive manner. Any act of violence may result in the head coach or assistant coach, player, or parent being suspended indefinitely. And accept the decisions of the game officials on the field as being fair and called to the best of their ability. That doesn't mean, once again, that you can't question a call in the proper manner. You can talk to a referee and come to a conclusion. Do not criticize the opposing team. We had some issues in flag football with that. We're not going to talk to the other teams and have some stuff going on there. We're not going to criticize the opposing team, its players, its coaches, or fans by any words, gestures, anything like that. Let's make sure we're using really good sportsmanship. In the use of drugs, alcohol, tobacco in any form is not permitted while attending Kids Inc.'s event. And do not permit an ineligible player to play in any game. We must have everyone sign a waiver and have their jersey and be paid up. All right, a few things we need to know about the fields we use. So Emerald Independent School District is kind enough to let us use their fields. Let's remember we cannot practice on their turf field at the middle schools. There is some other area out there at the schools that you can use, like the grass area. But we cannot be on those fields during the weekday to practice. We were given permission to play on these, so let's just make sure middle school play their games on these fields, they practice on these fields, and they want to keep them in the best playing condition. So no practicing on the turf middle school fields. While attending the games on turf, let's remember only water on the turf. Let's not have a bunch of Gatorade spilling on the fields and stuff. That stuff can really mess up some turf. No food on the turf, and that includes gum and sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds are a real detriment to turf. That is just not allowed on the field. So no food, no gum, no sunflower seeds. And no lawn chairs on the turf. We had some issues. You cannot place your lawn chairs on the turf. It will poke holes in the turf, and that's very costly to whoever's having to replace that. You have to be 10 yards back behind the sideline anyway, so there's grass areas where you can place your lawn chairs. So make sure we're not on the turf on your lawn chairs. No wheeled vehicles on the turf, like bicycles, skateboards, scooters, wagons, motorcycles, go-karts. Use the grass area for any of your wagons carrying equipment, anything like that, any lawn chairs. And no organized games or events without approval by AISD. So don't be out there scheduling scrimmages and stuff unless AISD has approved it. So if you have any questions about any of this stuff, please give me a call. You can call here at Kids Inc., or you can call me on the Kids Inc. phone, which is 806-576-8005. And that phone number is good for any issues. If you have an issue during a game or after a game, that is the Kids Inc. phone that I usually carry unless something happens for a weekend. But I will have that phone. If you have a really important question, give me a call. On this roster, please have this roster filled out when you come to your equipment checkout. Have it fully filled out. It'll be nice and smooth. You'll get this when you get your equipment packet and your coach's packet tomorrow. So please have this filled out for us, and that's going to make the process so smooth. And you can, and really not to really get in line until you have that filled out. Another important thing, as far as your background checks and stuff, have your assistants and your coaches, anybody that's going to be involved with the kids, have to fill out this criminal authorization form. It tells you everything that will make you ineligible on here. So you have that beforehand before you try to perform the background check. Just please do it. It's a requirement, it's a policy. We have to have it done. We ran into some issues with coaches not being listed and not having this done. We have to have this done. It's non-negotiable. So other than that, any questions, 806-376-5936. Our staff can answer anything you need to ask. Also, Kids Inc. phone during games and during the season, 806-576-8005. And just have a great season. Any questions about any of these rules, any of these policies, anything, please give us a call here at Kids Inc. We appreciate you, coaches, and we know it's hard what you do, and thank you again for supporting our program.